This week's Canva Design Challenge is waffles, so let's see what we can cook up. Okay, Hans will stop there, I promise. Over the next few weeks, you're going to see a few posts around the Canva Design Challenge. We're going to have a go at taking on the challenge every week, and we'd like to invite you to come and have a go as well. The main aim of this is to tap into our PixelHaze Principles of Design and demonstrate how we can effectively work professionally under pressure and deliver a new design challenge in under 20 minutes each week. That's if, of course, it all goes to plan. All you need to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow the challenges each week. Also, please leave comments and let us know how you're getting on with your own Canva Design Challenge. If you're over 18, you can also enter your own designs in the Canva Design Challenge officially, providing you meet all additional criteria. And I'll leave the link in the description below. Enjoy and stick around for this week's challenge. There wasn't really any other contender for the topic for this one, as I promised in the first week that we would be looking at pop culture reference, and there's no better waffle reference in my mind than the line from the original Shrek by Donkey, and here it is.
This is gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles. Oh!
This is going to be text-based, and that's why I've got this page open here, so we can just grab that quote and reference it in our design. I'm going to add a text block to start with and just put the text in just so we know what we're working with. Then I'm going to start looking at these as well. This time I think I'm going to go with frames. So I'll search for a frame. And if we keep going down, we've got our letters here. I'm going to use the word waffles in a way that it's written out in frames. With the F, because we're looking at a couple, I'm going to get to the right size, then I'm going to duplicate it. This is probably the least exciting part for you watching me literally resize a load of letters. And because there's an exclamation mark on the original quote, I think we are going to use that as well, if we can find one. If we can't, no problem. I thought there would be more punctuation. Okay. Now we've got our letters in place. We're going to need to have a look for waffles. I bet there have been a lot of search terms for waffles in the last 12 hours or so since the challenge went live. So the choices are now, do we go with photography or do we go with illustration? And I think we'll go with illustration or graphics. And I'm after something top-down, more waffle pattern than actual outline of a waffle shape itself or a stack. I think I might go with that circular one. It's not a huge amount to work with. You can see there it's going to have to be enlarged. we're not really seeing much detail in that image. So we could add a little bit more contrast, drop down the brightness, and bump up the saturation. Yeah, that can work. The only thing is now we're going to need to do that. Or we could go through those steps. So I'll just do that again, just so you can see what I did there. Because we didn't tweak the photo before adding it into the frame, to add another image in again, we'd have to go through those steps once again. So to avoid that, we can duplicate the letter or the frame with the graphic in, right click and detach the image from the frame. Didn't want to drop it in straight away. So I'm going to duplicate this page so we've got a backup. And now I'm going to just duplicate this design however many times we need. I think one more time. There we go. And then we can just drop them into each letter. Okay. There's something about this cutoff effect that I really like. I hadn't originally planned for that when I was just thinking it through earlier. So I think that's what we're going to do, is just on a case-by-case basis, just tweak. Just tweak our designs to get rid of the sharp edges all along. So it looks like they've been eaten. So I could attach it. It can be a little bit fussy sometimes, where if you overlap any letter, it will think you definitely want to drop it in the letter itself. So there we are. I've rotated that one a little bit. One thing I've just noticed there, it won't allow us to adjust it once we've rotated it if it's already larger than the frame. So that's something that just hasn't worked. I'm just going to go Control Z just to get it back to the original design. I don't want to spend much more time on the lettering here now, because we need to get the rest of the quote in place. And I've also got to think about how I want the backdrop to work as well. But that's quite an interesting effect that I, as I mentioned, hadn't really planned on beforehand. So I might just increase the size of that one so the two Fs aren't identical. One thing I might have a look at is if we edit the images, because we're editing the images not in the frames now. The one thing I haven't tried is, can we do drop shadow to the frame as opposed to the image inside? No. So we can see here now that it's applied it to the image and it's had to shrink it to get it to work within it. So that effect won't work. So I think that's what we're going to go with for our effect here. That's faded out again. So I'm just wondering, has it just removed? Yes, it has. The effects that we added in. Just get it back by eye. We're nearly halfway through. I've got the main centerpiece of this design in place. So now it's a case of working around it. So I can have a look. Again, going back to the design Shrek. So I could go with a nice kind of wooden, like illustrated wooden table backdrop just to finish it off. Maybe even a little bit of fake grass around the edges to give it that fairy tale feel. This is where we got the challenge now, is I don't want to be dropping in other textures into these frames. So first of all, I'm going to group them. Next is just locking that layer. So we can't move it at the moment, but it will stop any background textures, etc. getting in the way. So we can set that image as the background. We've got some huge issues with contrast here. We can't see that lettering enough, and it all just looks way too washed out. I'm also not happy with that background texture. It's just not cartoony enough. So this one might work. And what I'm going to do here is copy and paste the one side. See if I can overlap it. We've got a bit of a join there. So if I was to try and flip it horizontally, we've got an issue there with it's mirroring either side. So we're getting that mirrored effect. I don't really want that. So what I could do instead is rotate it. Back to square one there, but I think we'll get away with that when they're at the background. Group them together. Can you set a group to a background? Probably not. No. So again, what we can do here is edit the image, really drop down the brightness of that backdrop, but at the same time bumping up the saturation. And if we go into see all settings, we're going to bring down the highlights and also make the shadows darker as well. Essentially, we're just making it much, much darker, so our waffle texture really works over top of it. What I could do is just potentially add just a drop shadow behind the waffles text to make them stand out a little bit more. Okay, so I've done that side. I'm not going to go through all of those effects on the other side as well. We're just going to duplicate it. Send it to the back. And I think we get away with that. So now I can group them together and lock them into position. Want some grass now over top. Just to frame in the corners. It's a case of trying a few different ideas here and then seeing what sticks. But that watercolor effect works quite well. Fits nicely with the background. And again, we can edit the image, really bump up the saturation, bring down the brightness as well, just so it fits with the backdrop. And we can rotate it. Probably enlarge it as well. Literally by changing some of the angles here, the positioning of the elements, we can apply our little frame for the design here. Okay. I think we probably need another texture just to soften down this wood effect. So in between the green here and the timber boards. So I'm just going to add in a simple rectangle. I'm going to put it as a really dark brown. So almost black. Now this is where I'll probably send it to the back. Change the opacity of the overlay. I might decide that's too black, go more brown. Okay. Got to find a color and font now for this. Changing the font just to tie in, so I'm picking it off the picture itself, just so it ties in with the color scheme, especially our backdrop. And we need to find a nice playful font. That one's quite nice. That's what I'm going to go with. Just get our spacing nice and consistent. And we better make sure we reference the original source. So I'm going to have a look for Shrek. Because of copyright, there may not be. No, there isn't. So not surprised by that. I believe it was the end of 2001, but I'll check that later. So I want to put a hyphen in, but if I press a hyphen and then spacebar, it'll put a bullet point. I don't want a bullet point. So what I tend to do is press the spacebar a couple times first, and then trick it so we can add the hyphen in. Okay, 20 minutes are up. Here's a design. Hope you've enjoyed this week. We'll see you next week.